Hey, everybody. Welcome to another recording session for Polite Society Podcast. I'm Paul Lathrop. I'm the originator and I guess you could say owner of the Polite Society Podcast, also owner of the Self Defense Radio Network. And we're going to be getting going here in just a second. Joining me today, why is that? That is weird. Hang on, let me turn that off. All right. Joining me today, Charlie Cook of Writing Shotgun with Charlie, and numerous other efforts. He and Matt, oh my God, my brain. Matt Mallory. Do an occasional Twinsies broadcast. And,
Twinsies.
And then also joining me, Carrie Ann Auclair. It's an all Massachusetts show tonight. Carrie Ann, of course, is Sisters in Arms, a firearm story, a delegate for the DC Project, and we'll be getting going here in just a little bit. I got to finish getting social media hooked up because Facebook will not let me do that until we're actually live. So, do want to remind everybody as we get going, if you want to get a comment on anywhere you're seeing the video, you should be able to comment. And I get those comments pretty quickly. And if you comment while we're live, your comment may make it on the air, and we'll talk about it or ridicule you or laugh with you or whatever. So, all right, guys, I think I'm ready on my end. Carrie Ann, you ready?
Yep.
All right. In that case, here we go. Masad Ayub in 5, 4, 3.
Hey, gang, this is Masad Ayub from the Pro Arms Podcast. I'm here to remind you that our podcast is a member of the Self Defense Radio Network, and I'm going to suggest you do what we do and check out the other podcasts at selfdefenseradio.net.
Treat every firearm as if it's loaded.
Never point a firearm at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire.
Always be sure of your target and what lies beyond it.
Hi, and welcome to the Polite Society Podcast. We're recording this one live on Monday night, November the 6th, 2023. I'm Paul Lathrop.
I'm Charlie Cook, and on tonight's show, we'll talk about some of the Supreme Court taking up 2 gun rights-related cases in the new term.
I'm Carrie Ann Auclair, and I have lost my show notes. I'm so sorry. So can someone pick up for me?
In one of our defensive gun use stories, over 30 rounds were fired in an exchange between home invaders and a homeowner. So climb aboard.
Strap in and hang on.
And hang on.
Episode 682 of the Polite Society Podcast starts right now. All right, it's Monday night. It is just after 7 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, the only time zone that matters. Means it's another time for another Polite Society Podcast. Rob is out this week. John is out this week. Amanda's out this week. There's a few of us left. Charlie, you're up first. What's been going on with you since the last time you were on Polite Society, man?
Oh, man. A couple weeks ago, I put out a Writing Shotgun episode with Phil Schreier, who's the NRA Museum director. I've had some classes on the weekends, which is good. My November's booked up with classes, so this is going to be nice. And last weekend, I spent the weekend in Farmville, Virginia, with John Petrolino, the Penn Patriot, Cam Edwards, and Miss E. The 4 of us went out and did some sporting clays, and then the three of us guys went to the Oliver Anthony concert, which was pretty cool. This past weekend, I went to the range with one of my old instructor buddies, and we may have been trying one of the DIY guns that he had. And I've been tweaking my plans for SHOT as well. This year I'm going to have an assistant with me, and that takes some planning and organizing. So that's what I've been going on. That's been going on with me. Carrie Ann, what's been happening with you? You haven't been on in a while.
No, I haven't. I've been actually pretty busy. So last weekend, I had an amazing class for some folks getting their license to carry. And then the weekend before that, we had an awesome event with Senator Michael Moore. It was a co-ed all-day event. So that was really awesome. And the weekend before that was a Women's on Target event. So I've been very busy with Gun Owners Action League and my own business, and I'm actually doing a Refuse to be a Victim class for my local town for the Counseling on Aging this week as well. So it's really awesome. Been busy.
All right, Charlie, I want to you how dangerous was it for Sporting Clays while you were out there? Did you take your limit?
So the man that runs we were at the Central Virginia Sporting Clays in Palmyra, Virginia, and so we got there. We talked to the owner. His name is Brad. Brad asked us. He's like, "Hey, do any of you guys know how to pick? Do any of you guys have a lock picking set?" And we're like, "No." He's like, "I know how to pick locks, but I locked myself out of my house," and he was a little taken with that. So we, Cam had to go into the office and sneak a score sheet and a clipboard for us. And we got to the stations, and he has signs. He has a yellow sign, a red sign, and an orange sign. And we didn't know which one was the hard, the easy, and the difficult. So we thought the white one was the easy one. Right, because that seems like it would make sense, and the red one would be hotter or spicier or harder, and the white one was the hard one. We found out the next day when we went to visit Brad. So, all of us shot well under 50.
So you took the John Wick difficulty, is what you're saying.
We had no idea. We're like, these are really fast. John actually accused the owner, Brad, of hitting the sauce when he made these, when he set these targets up. And the cool thing about this particular Sporting Clays range is that every 30 days he goes out and sets up a new course. And I did interview him while we were down there, and he was telling me that he not only does he change it every month, but he doesn't do anything that he actually can't shoot, and he can't hit some clays on. So he said it takes one day to set everything up, and then he goes back the next day and shoots the course, and does the whole deal to make sure it can be shot. So we ended up not getting as good of scores as we thought, and I hate to admit this, but John Petrolino beat me.
Oh,
yeah. It was pretty sad. I think I had like 35 out of 100. And John maybe had, I don't know, 42 or something, 41 or 42. It was pretty bleak.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah, but it's still a good time. So.
Oh yeah,
that's what really counts.
That's the whole thing. Is did you enjoy yourself and Sporting Clays? I mean, to be honest, I center most of my work in firearms around defensive firearms usage, and so Sporting Clays is well outside what I would normally do myself. I haven't been Sporting Clays shooting since I was 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there.
Right.
And wow, it's a lifetime ago since I've done it.
Sure. It's fun to do. The camaraderie, of course, is always fun. The unnamed competition is always fun as well. But John and I always seem to talk about the FUDs while we're out doing FUD activity.
Well, and I've got to get this in.
The FUDs.
Penn Patriot, speaking of the devil, the red was the easy one. So, yeah. Who would have thought red would have been the easy one?
I mean, really? Really. So we ended up shooting the hard course. We did a horrible job and had a great time.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to step aside to our break here. Before we do that, I need to remind you all we are a proud founding member of the Self Defense Radio Network. If you are watching live on YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else where you can watch live, you can see right there, we are there. Self Defense Gun Stories, Armed Lutheran Radio, Eye on the Target Radio. Some guy with Riding Shotgun with Charlie is up there as well. A lot of great podcasts. You can listen to them right on the website, or the subscription information is there should you choose to subscribe. That's at selfdefenseradio.us or sdrn.us. Either one will get you there. We are going to step aside to our first break. When we come back, we've got our news segment. We'll get to that right after we hear from ACLDN. Right back after this.
This portion of the Polite Society podcast is brought to you by the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. If you carry a defensive handgun, you need protection from the aftermath of prosecution. Even if you do everything right, you can be the victim of an overzealous prosecutor or even be falsely accused. That is where the ACLDN comes in. They provide immediate assistance when you need it most. If you find yourself under arrest, they immediately pay bail money and the retainer for your attorney. Additional funds are available for trial and civil proceedings. Beyond the money, they have far and away the best team in the industry, providing you invaluable information and training DVDs that are included with your membership and who stand ready to work with your lawyer on your defense. People like Massad Ayub, John Farnham, James Fleming, Tom Gibbons, Emmanuel Capelson, Dennis Tuller, and led by network president Marty Hayes. Initial membership is only $135 for your first year, and you get 8 incredible training DVDs and other educational material when you join. If you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to defend yourself at your disposal right now, you need to be a member of the ACLDN. Go to armedcitizensnetwork.org and become a member today. And please mention that you heard about them on the Polite Society podcast.
All right, we are back, and news segment. This, of course, we have to do this every week. I want to remind everybody, if you want to comment about any of our news stories, get them up, and we'll get your comments on the air. First one, the Seventh Circuit overturns injunction against Illinois' assault weapon ban, says AR-15s aren't protected arms. This is a Cam Edwards story. I'm just going to hit the first paragraph here. On the face of it, Friday's decision by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn an injunction against enforcement of Illinois' recently enacted ban on assault weapons and large-capacity magazines doesn't change circumstances on the ground. The 3-judge panel that issued the decision had previously stayed U.S. Judge Stephen McGlynn's injunction while the state appealed, so law has been in effect throughout its litigation. This does set up, and I do believe this is going to be going before the Supreme Court. Will it happen this year? I don't know. This does set up a circuit split where the Fifth Circuit has said you can't do that. Seventh Circuit has said, of course you can do that. This I do believe is going before the Supreme Court. It's a disappointment for our friends in Illinois right now, but and honestly for those folks in Maryland and California and other places that have an AR-15 ban or an assault weapons ban. But it will make it to the Supreme Court, and it could even make it this year. Carrie Ann, I'm gonna lean on you first because it's been a while since you've been on the air. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, if you really want my thoughts, I think that it's ridiculous all around. It's unconstitutional. I mean, the problem is when I went to DC a couple weeks ago and we met with a couple of reps, a couple of congressmen, they are just not educated to understanding the whole process, and they don't understand the lingo. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand what assault weapons are. They don't understand that an AR is not an assault rifle. They don't. There's no education. So it's just very frustrating to me because we have it here in Massachusetts, and Charlie can talk more on that, but I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Whoops, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Now everybody shows back up. Charlie?
So here's when I was, I don't know, probably in junior high or high school, we started learning about civics and all this government and whatnot. I always thought it was interesting that, and I didn't necessarily understand the process, how laws were made and everything that went into how long it took to do things. But I always thought I didn't know the difference between Republicans and Democrats, and I always thought, well, if we have a Republican president, then he can make the laws he wants, and then we're going to have a Democrat president, he's going to change the laws that he doesn't like that the Republican did, and then when a Republican comes back, he's going to change all the laws back from the Democrat. And it sounded completely exhausting. And this is what we have with Illinois and with California, where they say, hey, listen, you know what? High cap magazines are not okay. Whoop, high cap magazines are okay. This week you can buy them, but next week you can't. And then they're okay, and then they're not okay. And this is the same thing. Ooh, AR-15s are not protected. No, yes, they are. Well, no, they're not. Well, here they are, but here they're not. But here they're, in this state they're okay, but in this state they're evil weapons. Ooh. It's really exhausting. It's really exhausting. I saw some. Yeah, it is. I saw something, and I put it on my Instructing Biz Facebook page, and it was pictures of all of these weapons of war is what it was, and it had things like, it started off on the top was like an AR, and it kind of worked its way back down to an M14, and then it worked its way to a lever action rifle, and then it worked its way to a muzzle loader, and then it worked its way to a bow and arrow, and then it worked its way down to a rock. And it said all of these are weapons of war, and either we have the right to self-defense and we have the right to arms, or we do not have the right to arms. And
Right.
it's insane to me that you can say, well, these arms are okay to have, but these arms aren't. And this is one of the things that aggravates the snot out of me. We sit here and talk about, well, the anti-gun folks talk about weapons of war. Well, okay, you know what a weapon of war is? It's the 1911. It's been around since 1911, and of course, the old, people like to say, well, it got us through 2 world wars. Okay, that makes it a weapon of war, but now AR-15s are bad. It's completely exhausting.
One of the arguments,
it's terrible.
One of the arguments in this decision by the Seventh Circuit is because the AR-15 looks like the M16.
Big bad, right?
Yeah, they're essentially the same thing. And I gotta put a nip in the bud to something here real quick.
All right.
Going back to when we were going to break, and I said it's been a lifetime ago since I fired sporting clays. I got to get this one. MK says Paul had the flintlock shotgun. Now I got to correct that. It was not flintlock. It was matchlock. Let's get that right.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's great, man. That's great. It's I had a course this past weekend, and I had a couple people that were from Long Island that live up in Massachusetts now, and legit, I'm holding up my AR, and I'm talking about my evil weapon, the funny voice and air quotes that I use when I talk about high cap magazines and assault weapons, and this lady said to me, she's like, how come mass shooters like to use AR-15s? And I'm like, they like to use handguns. They really do. And I said, she's like, well, what about the guy in Maine? Well, the guy in Maine had an AR-10, so it's 5 less dangerous.
Yes.
So
but they never want to talk about mental illness, though. They don't want to talk about that. They just want to talk about the big bad looking AR.
Yeah, I think, being an overweight, a pale male and stale, an overweight middle-aged white guy named Chuck, I think we need to ban guys that have lots of muscles, because those guys are big and buff and look muscular, and they look like they could kick my butt, and I might be threatened by those sorts of guys.
Hey, that's
Chuck,
a good point.
Chuck, there's got to be a Chuck. Oh, Norris.
Chuck
Norris.
So he's pale, male, and stale, but he's also Chuck Norris.
Yes.
He's also Chuck Norris. Exactly.
My son told me tonight that Chuck Norris is gonna. I think it was my son was telling me that Chuck Norris is gonna be in another movie pretty soon.
Wouldn't shock me at all.
What? Oh.
Wouldn't
That's-
shock me
that's
in the
pretty
least.
cool. Yeah.
Uh,
Excuse me. I wasn't talking to my son. It was the Bay State King of Glocks that I was talking with us over with at lunch.
All right, let me get Spartan 6, and I was going to go with this, but Spartan 6 beat me to it. Civics was one place where I learned about the government. Schoolhouse Rock was the other. I remember from Schoolhouse Rock. Yeah, I am
absolutely.
just a Bill. I remember that. What they didn't show you, and it's a popular Facebook meme, what they didn't show you in that Schoolhouse Rock was the cash trading hands as that bill goes through.
Yeah, see, we used to be altruistic and think that you could pass a bill on its merits, but now we know better. It takes a bill and a wad of cash.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, and this just crossed my radar this week, and now that the muzzle is effectively off of me, and I can talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, whether I'm on the air or not. Bob Menendez, the senator out of New Jersey, has been in hot water. He's got bribery charges. Apparently, they found wads of cash in his sport jacket pockets when they invaded his home. He's apparently taking money to promote Israel, and his wife got a brand spanking new $100,000 Cadillac SUV out of the thing. And there's tons of cash. So, New Jersey. I mean, it's.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say they get their salary from being a senator from New Jersey, but that's about maybe a 20th of their income. The rest they have to earn themselves by selling themselves out.
Yeah, well, in Menendez's wife's excuse, I think she did get into a car accident, which is what they ended up covering up about her. So she probably needs a new vehicle, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't expect her to Uber or Lyft. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's and speaking of New Jersey, Anthony Colandro likes to say all the time there are three levels of people. There are them, there are the illegals, and you and we're the third level.
MK says, why can't all states abide by what SCOTUS says? Well, because those states are looking to. It wasn't that long ago you kept hearing, should Texas secede? We're getting tired of this. Texas should secede from the union. I honestly believe that a lot of the liberal states are getting tired of the Supreme Court, and they're going to be trying to secede from the union. I say good riddance.
Totally. It's always interesting when you're filling out the 4473 and it says, have you ever renounced your country? And I'm like, seriously? No. But have I wanted to secede? Like, how can I become, the sovereign state of Charlie Cook? That would be pretty cool.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, now you're not going to become one of these sovereign states people. I'll put that as gently as I can. Are you, Charlie?
No. This is where I get really hung up on things. I remember seeing some chart, and it said the progress of people on the left was you were a Democrat, a liberal, a Democrat, a progressive, a Marxist, and a socialist. And on the right, it was you're a Republican, you're a conservative, you're a libertarian, and then an anarchist. And when the gentleman that just put the comment up said that when are the states going to go back to listening to the SCOTUS? I think about the governor here in Massachusetts, and she was only the AG, the Anti-Gun Attorney General, last summer when Bruen went down. But she said, "Oh, we're not going to pay any attention to the Bruen decision." And then she came out the next day when they made the Roe decision and said, "You know what? States have the right to do what they want to do." And she's like, "We're not going to listen to that either." So when the chief law enforcement person of Massachusetts says she's not going to pay attention to the SCOTUS laws, the SCOTUS decisions, then why should I have to listen to her decisions? Like, what makes her better than me? Why can she
Good
not
point,
follow laws, but
Charlie.
I have to follow?
They do absolutely think of themselves as our betters, as
Yep.
Oh,
you know.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
It's just
they totally do.
let me get next comment up here real quick. Warsaw Patriot says, checking in, says if they're willing to pass a law to violate and contradict the second, imagine if they were willing to vote away their freedom of speech and the right to vote in an election. I could easily see stomping on freedom of speech. I could easily see stomping on your right to cast votes in a free and fair election. And that one is actually closer, I believe, than freedom of speech is.
Yep, I agree. Yep. And
So
yeah, I'm not going to say nothing.
let's stick with SCOTUS here. The Supreme Court will decide whether the Trump administration's ban on bump stocks implemented by the ATF in 2018 after the Route 91 Music Festival shootings in Las Vegas was a proper exercise of agency authority over or an overreach on the part of the administration. On Friday, the court granted cert in a case known as Garland versus Cargill, one of several cases that have been bouncing around the lower courts since the ban was first put in place. The court's granting of the case wasn't exactly a surprise for a couple of reasons. The Solicitor General had sought Supreme Court review, but there were also splits in the federal appellate courts over the legality of the ban. This circuit has ruled the bump stock ban was improperly put in effect, while the D.C. Circuit, 6th Circuit, and 10th Circuit have all allowed the ban to remain in place. Another Cam Edwards story. And, guys, look, if Congress doesn't pass it, the ATF cannot ban anything. Congress has that authority, and Congress doesn't even hold the authority. The Second Amendment says they don't. So nobody has the authority to ban specific types of weaponry up to, my opinion, up to and including nuclear weapons. If I have the financial ability, the technical ability, and the wherewithal to build a nuke, it's nobody's damn business but mine whether I do it or not.
Sure, and think about what you will about Elon Musk, but he's making space travel easier and quicker than NASA does,
and cheaper.
Yeah,
Right.
Shocking.
Yeah, you can do it cheaper than a federal government agency? No.
Right. So I mean, it shows you if you put things in the hands of the public and in the hands of the capitalists, then that drives the price down and makes it more accessible to more people.
Imagine if they could do things like, I don't know, privatize the post office, do things like, get rid of Social Security and put that money in private hands. What would happen with that? It's just I'm of the age now where I'm kind of resigned that Social Security will not go away. It won't be there for me. I'll be able to draw Social Security another 10 years or so. It won't be there when I get there, but the money I paid into it is just gone.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm convinced that I'm going to be a Walmart greeter when I retire.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I want to see Charlie chasing after people looking for their receipts. I really do.
Right. No, I'm the greeter, not the guy at the door, at the back door, letting at the exit. I'm at the front door. Hey, how you guys doing? Good to see you today. You guys are back again. Oh, I love your pajamas.
They're
Those are great.
people.
That's a new shade of blue for you, isn't that? What are you doing Saturday night, by the way?
Right.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness. Right. You see a couple come in with 7 kids. Oh, look, contraceptives are down this aisle.
Oh God.
We're all right. We're off the rails.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's MK is trying to get us back on the rails. I prefer FRT, force reset trigger, than a bump stock. You know what? I do too. I have fired a bump stock firearm, and I talked about this on Sunday night show. I have shot a bump stock, and I did it in the best possible way. It was at SHOT Show. Wasn't my firearm, wasn't my ammo. I didn't pay for anything. They handed me the firearm and a couple of mags, and they said, "Have fun," and I did. Now the thing is, are they accurate? Oh, hell no. Are they easy to control? Oh, hell no. But are they fun? Oh, absolutely they are. I can think of exactly one thing that they're good for. If SHTF, if the stuff hits the fan, it's good for making people keep their heads down, because you're not going to hit anything with it. But
Right.
as long as you're releasing rounds, it's going to make people keep their heads down. It's covering fire, I believe, is the
Yes.
is the term.
the term.
So
I had a chance to fire one once a number of years ago, and it was it's hard to do. It was a little out of control. You're pushing with one arm, you're pulling with the other arm. It was a little strange and a little awkward. And I got to tell you, when I listened to the tapes from the Festival 91 there, or 91 Festival, whatever it was called, there's no way that guy was firing bump stocks. He had flat out like belt-fed machine guns.
yeah, and going back to that, I could swear I don't have those videos loaded up. I could go get them, and I could get them loaded, but it's going to take longer than we have. I could swear when I listened to those, there were two separate firearms being fired simultaneously with different cyclic rates. One was a faster cyclic rate, one was slower. So
Yeah, I've saw some of those videos too. I hate to sound like Rob Campbell, but yeah.
yeah.
No, right.
Now this is a cloth hat. It is not tinfoil, but and by the way, it is. I doubt you. No, we're not. You're going to be able to say just a little bit of discoloration on the bill. It is signed by Jerry Mikulik, so eat your
Oh,
hearts out.
nice. Love that guy.
Very cool.
Speaking
Very
of, Dana says, I prefer Jerry Mikulik's trigger finger. And going back to a previous bit of the conversation we had, Spartan 6 says, the government hates competition. That's why the Dems love socialism. It makes everyone embrace mediocrity and government control.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And one more from Spartan 6. Conspiracy theories aren't theories if they're true.
Absolutely.
It's just people predicting the future from our little crystal ball.
All right. Last story for today. And we are going to keep my goal is, and I'm going to work really hard. We're at 33 minutes after the hour. My goal is to be out before the top of the hour. Long explanation into why that's going to be, but all of my videos going forward are going to be 1 hour in length or less. So, but let's this last story we got. Supreme Court will hear NRA appeal in dispute with former New York State official. This is off newsnetmedia.com. The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday said it will hear an appeal from the NRA regarding comments from a former New York State official who urged banks and insurance companies to discontinue their association with gun-promoting groups after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. The justices will hear arguments in early 2024 in NRA's appeal, which claims remarks by Maria Vullo, former superintendent of New York State Department of Financial Services, violated the group's First Amendment rights. Following the February 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School that killed 17 people, Vullo spoke against gun violence. She issued guidance letters to businesses and a press statement urging banks and insurance companies to consider reputational risks arising from doing business with NRA and other gun rights groups. And they actually went farther than that, in that they really put strong arm tactics against a number of high-profile New York financial institutions, and made them back away from, for example, Lloyd's of London. I remember getting brought up, dropped the NRA, some of the NRA programs, and I'm glad to see this.
Can you pull up that comment again that says the government doesn't like competition?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. The government, the government certainly has no business telling businesses how they need to run their business. Yeah, the government hates competition. That's it.
Not just that. I mean, how is it? If a bad guy's doing bad things with a gun, how is it anyone else's fault? How is it the NRA's fault? It's like, saying that just because someone was driving a Ford car and was drunk, and now you're going to, anybody that does business with Ford, you're going to, I just don't understand that. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really takes the responsibility away. That kind of stuff takes the responsibility away from the people that are responsible for drunk driving, or the people that are responsible for shooting, mass shootings, mass murders.
Yeah, 100%. Let's
Aren't they trying to do that with gun dealers too? Like gun.
Well, if the banks are urging them to not work with these groups, then these businesses, then they're not going to be able to use their credit card processing machines, and
Right.
not going to be able to use their bank accounts from those banks.
Yeah.
All right, now I just got a homework assignment by Spartan 6. We've been talking about this for a while on this show. Spartan 6 says, by the way, Steven Crowder leaked the Nashville Murderers manifesto earlier on YouTube and Rumble. Some of it was very interesting. I'm going to have to go to Rumble and look up Steven Crowder, and because we ever since that shooting in that Nashville school, we've been saying, where is the manifesto? Where is the manifesto? And it's been deeply hidden. There's got to be some things in there that are extremely damaging to the gun control crowd, or it would have been out in a hot second.
I did see an article about it. I shared it on my instructor page, Facebook page, and what's interesting is the article that I shared. I think it was from a news station out of Nashville. Facebook wouldn't share it for some reason. I thought that was kind of interesting, so I had to. Yeah, I had to put the link in the comments. But this person, I'm using that term loosely. This person set out to kill a bunch of people, and they came out and said, you know what, we're going to go after all the white people and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, they went out intending to kill people. The main shooter was the same in that they, when the anti-gun folks come out and say, we need stronger background checks, we need a cooling off period when people buy guns. I saw something that said the main murderer went out and tried to buy a suppressor 2 months beforehand. So it's not like he's like, I'm doing it this Friday. He's like, I'm doing it on some day, and maybe it's this Friday. And if this Friday doesn't work out, it's going to be the next Friday, or it's going to be the next time. So these people, these murderers make plans. And they go through a whole thing where they plan everything out, and they fantasize about the number of people they're going to kill.
Right.
And
We don't get to choose that day.
I'm looking at a story from MSN.com. Admittedly, not exactly an entirely reliable source of information. And they're simply writing on what Spartan 6 has said, is that Crowder is Crowder's going to be sharing it. So I'll look into this. I would say check back Wednesday, which is the next day I'll be broadcasting, and I'll have more about that. I'm sure that when Rob Morse joins me on Wednesday, he's underwater tonight, This is why he can't join us. The webcams just don't work so hot when they're 30 feet underwater.
Right.
Nope.
Can't be good reception down there.
Well, and with that big, with the regulator in his mouth, it's the ability to talk just sometimes.
Right. Hard to understand.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and step aside to break. We're going to come back with our defensive gun use segment, and we'll get to that right after we hear from the Complete Combatant. Right back right after this.
This portion of the Polite Society podcast is brought to you by The Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant is designed for a broad base of citizens that range from students that don't own a gun on up to advanced students that train often. The Complete Combatant offers several different courses that build upon each other, from avoidance, using verbal commands, and preparing for contact, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, your 911 call, interacting with the police, to even dealing with the legal system in the aftermath. The Complete Combatant courses are a layered approach for all levels of experience that will walk you through all the many stages of decisions while developing a game plan tailored to your skills and your everyday carry. Please visit www.thecompletecombatant.com and make sure you mention this ad to receive 15% off. Again, that's www.thecompletecombatant.com and mention the ad for 15% off.
All right. As we get going again, these discussions are not legal advice. Some of us are trainers, but this is not formal training, and you need formal training. The defensive gun use segment is intended as information and education, not as training. As always, the opinions of the hosts are only their own opinions and not those of any sponsors or other affiliations, although they should be. Charlie, you got our first one out of Auburn, Washington, man. Charlie, is Charlie frozen?
I think he is. I hear him.
Ah, there he is, Charlie.
Hey,
All right. Okay.
We're
All right. I don't know if
frozen.
it was my connection or you guys.
Carrie
gotcha.
and I were able to talk to each other, so
Yep.
All right.
it's all on you,
Well,
dude. And Auburn, Washington, go.
Wish me luck.
Yes.
Auburn, Washington. Video doorbells have become prevalent over recent years, and many times they have helped justify defensive gun uses as self-defense. At 2 a.m., 3 masked men attempted to burglarize an Auburn home. The neighbor told the press that they woke up, heard glass shatter, and then alarms go off. It was several shots being fired that woke them up. He claimed he heard upwards of 30 shots fired. Why were so many shots fired? Because the homeowner and the home invaders were both armed. The Ring camera showed that the homeowner opened fire, then the masked men fired back at the homeowner. Several bullet holes were left across the front of the home and in one of the neighbor's windows. This is one of 4 home invasions in South King County in the days prior to the report. Quote, you can see they really did have their home properly secured. It took them a solid 20 seconds to get through the door by kicking it in and trying to ram it, end quote, said Colby Crossley, who is the PIO for the Auburn Police Department. Police are encouraging self-defense. Quote, we encourage you, if you're in a situation where you feel like you're being threatened, in a situation like this that's so terrifying, if you feel that the right action for you is to take, then if that's the right action for you to take, then that's what you need to protect your home and the people inside your home, Crossley said. Police are trying to determine if any of the 4 home invasions are related. 3 of the 4 victims are Asian, but have not been able to determine the motive to the invasions. So there's a lot of good things to learn from here.
Well, yeah. Number one is make sure you've got a real door and that it's really locked and really secured. That probably saves some lives. the other lesson I would like to take out of this is the door is a fatal funnel. Once they start coming through that door, there's your opportunity. Don't spray the front of your house. But once they start coming through that door, they're framed nice and tight in there. That's your opportunity right there.
Absolutely. One of the things that I often tell people, particularly that live in occupied territory here in Massachusetts, is buy yourself a Glock and buy yourself a pre-1994 magazine, because bad guys have friends.
Yep.
Three guys broke into here, and if you've got your Joe Biden special, your double barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts into the air, and then you got a stick. So you need high cap magazines because bad guys have friends, and more, you're seeing a big crowd of people. You see 3 or 4 guys break into a house.
Charlie, whenever you and I are together, this happens. Going back to old movie quotes, get rid of that nickel-plated sissy gun and get yourself a Glock. From The Fugitive.
So how many of you have a flashlight attached to your firearm?
I do. Now you got.
We were
I have to
just talking
qualify
about
that. I have to qualify that on one of my firearms. I have a flashlight attached. Another has a laser. I'm a fan of accessories on firearms. I really am.
We were just talking about that 2 days ago with somebody, how, if something like this did happen and it's in the middle of the night and you're in pitch black, you need to have accessories, flashlight, laser. We were just talking about that. So I'm wondering if this, homeowner had that on their firearm. Curious.
Yeah.
But good for them.
Another lesson that we all know about is when seconds count, police are minutes away. It took them 20 seconds to break in through the door. Sounds like a long time, might feel like a long time, but it's not enough time to call the police and have them get there.
No.
Especially when you're trying to get everything ready to prepare to protect yourself. It's just goes slow motion.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. If you're going to be calling 911, hit 911, hit dial, hit speakerphone, set the damn thing down.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I tell people, too, if there's another person in the house, have them call 911, or you call 911, put it down, put it on a speaker, and have them start recording. Because it's a backup.
Yeah, it absolutely
Your video
is.
record. Yep.
Absolutely.
Or if you these doorbell cameras, those are good things. I really wish a lot more places had them. How do I put this? It could be a double-edged sword. Make darn sure you're doing everything absolutely right if you know it's going to be on video, because that video will come out.
Oh,
if nowhere else is going to come out when you're in court. I've been a huge advocate of, and tomorrow one of my goals is, I've got 2 goals for tomorrow. Number 1 is the Rahimi case is getting oral arguments tomorrow for the Supreme Court. I'm going to be tuning into that. Second thing, over in the other room, when I had my accident in late September with my RAV4 on the way back from Gun Rights Policy Conference, I've got the dash cam from that car sitting in the living room. I'm finally, after a month and a half almost, going to get that thing into the studio tomorrow. I'm going to be pulling the video of the accident off that dash cam, and I'm going to review it myself, make darn sure I didn't screw up.
Yep. And you know what, too? They have dash cams, so we have a dash cam that records inside the vehicle on the outside of the vehicle. So I think that's super important, too, because it actually records the people that are driving behind you. So if someone's hitting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are awesome.
Let me get.
I gotta. That's probably got to put you on your best behavior when you're driving, right?
Oh, it definitely does.
See, Charlie, you were on my dash cam when you were doing the
Yes. Yeah.
TC trip.
I had my own cameras going. Okay.
Yeah, 2 of them went out.
I know. Well, I only had 5 in the car.
Oh,
Only 5.
Plus yours.
all right. MK wants to know if I set my Glocks back Sunday. Let me tee off on that for just a second. I despise daylight savings time. You're not saving a darn bit of daylight.
I agree with you. Ridiculous.
If for people who live in the northern latitudes, like I do, my grandchildren last week were going to school in the dark because of daylight saving time. Sunrise doesn't
Sound
start.
like Charlie.
Sunrise doesn't happen this time of year if you're on daylight saving time until 8 o'clock in the morning. Coincidentally, same time school's starting.
I thought they were going to stop that. Like, literally. I thought they were going to stop that. Didn't they? Wasn't there a rumor going around that was going to end?
I don't think it ever is. The good news for your grandkids, Paul, is they'll be coming home when it's dark as well.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
It starts getting dark here about 5 o'clock. Most schools get out between 2:30 and 3:30. So,
yeah, it's I told someone today, I'm like, the only thing that gets me through the time change, I don't feel it until Tuesday. Like that's when it finally kicks in. But the only thing that keeps me going is December 22nd. The days start to get longer again.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing I got.
Daylight saving time is nothing but a lazy man thing. If you want an extra hour of daylight, super duper easy. Get your butt out of bed before sunrise.
Exactly. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, Webster Groves, Missouri. Using a firearm to defend property is not recommended everywhere but Texas. However, if you're in your vehicle, that's gone from simple theft to carjacking. Webster Groves is in the St. Louis area. It's been a problem plaguing that area. Hot Shots Bar is in a strip mall. And by the way, Hot Shots Bar, I don't know that I'd want to really be close to something with that name. Hot Shots Sports Bar is in a strip mall. Just after midnight on a Saturday, the victim was sitting in his car when he heard glass breaking. He got out of his car and saw 2 men wearing black ski masks running toward him. Quote, when you have 2 individuals have black ski masks and they're coming at you at a high rate of speed after committing several felonies, any normal person in their right mind would fear for their life. That was Lieutenant Jillian McCoy of the Criminal Investigations for the Webster Groves Police Department. That's why, she said, as the man fired his gun, killing a 19-year-old suspect. An 18-year-old accomplice picked up the gun carried by the dead thug and raised it toward the victim. The thug then fired several. The man then fired several shots back at the second thug. Second thug decided the fate of his partner wasn't too enticing and ran towards the Afton area, where police quickly found him. Thug quickly admitted to stashing the gun in a storage closet. Thug is now charged with second-degree murder, armed criminal action, attempted stealing of a motor vehicle, and tampering with physical evidence. Bond was set at $1 million. That's 1 with 6 zeros after it. The pair arrived in a stolen vehicle out of Hazelwood. Authorities believe the pair were part of a larger organized auto theft ring. While active investigation continues, McCoy said Webster Groves police are not only looking for suspected criminals, but they are also hoping to find and help more victims. I do firmly believe in the next days to come, multiple communities will come forward and we'll be able to hopefully locate more victims, she said. Even though the work is far from over, McCoy believes this is a good learning opportunity for the community to remember to hide and lock up your belongings. Will that stop the issue? No, but it will definitely deter it, she said. Right now, the victim of the attempted car theft who made the original 911 call has not been charged with a crime. Police believe he was acting in self-defense. Why get out of your car?
Why? Good question. Why get out of your car? You had every opportunity to flee.
Yes.
And then call 911.
But now, in contrast to the prior one, I mean, the guy fired shots and stopped one cold and made the other one question his life decisions. So good marksmanship. So.
Well, I'm sure there are a couple of loose youths that are trying to put their life together.
Utes.
Couple of utes.
Couple of utes. It's a Massachusetts thing. I don't know.
It's a my cousin Vinny thing.
That's right.
Is where I got it from.
A couple of utes.
All right.
Yeah, that's.
And Dana says, I used a lot of thugs in that one. Dana, no, the way you wrote it, you didn't. I substituted several because it made it easier for me to track what was going on. So.
And everyone else.
All right. Let's go ahead and we're at 56 and I want to be out of here in 3 minutes or less. Charlie, what's going on with riding shotgun with Charlie, writing shotgun with Charlie, and all that other stuff, man?
All right. Last week, Matt Mallory and I did one of our live shows with Laura Carno from Faster, Colorado, which you can find on the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel. While you're there watching the show, please hit the notification and subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, because Matt and I do have sponsors, and every month we give away a Mantis X and a SIRT pistol. And I have a show that's going to be coming out next Tuesday, and I'm not yet sure who it's going to be. So that's what's going on with me. Carrie Ann, what's been happening with you? What do you have coming up?
So Sisters in Arms just celebrated our first season. How exciting. And next week, actually, we're having Toby Larry on our show. And we're actually talking about advocacy, not just for guns and the Second Amendment, for being a parent and everything else. So we're doing a lot of great things. I got a Woman on Target event next weekend. And yeah, it's good. It's all good. Very exciting.
Very cool. On my end, come join Rob Morse and I. At least I hope it's going to be Rob Morse. He's told me he's going to be above water by then. Rob Morse and I are going to be here Wednesday night for Polite Society News. This coming Friday is Training Friday with Tom Walls. And Sunday we'll have our normal Week in Review show. So that is going to do it for us today. By golly, we're getting out of here in under an hour. That does it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, podcast listeners, for listening. If you are a podcast listener, please do consider joining us live, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, all those places, 7 p.m. Central Time, Monday night. That's it, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. And one more button here, just a second.